Why? Why has English become the world's international language? Why do many countries today, like Australia, Canada, and New Zealand, still have the Queen of England as their queen? Why are certain sports, like rugby and cricket, much more popular in particular countries? The answers lie in the history of the British Empire and its power over many centuries. The British at one point controlled over 24% of all the land in the world. Its power reached Africa, Asia, Australia, North and South America, as well as Europe. The empire controlled the lives of billions of people all over the world. Although the empire no longer exists, its influence can still be felt today. Before the empire. In the 16th century, two of the most powerful countries in Europe were Spain and Portugal. These countries were expanding their powers all over the world in the Americas, Africa, and through Asia, taking their religion and language with them. England, France, and the Netherlands built up their power and sent many people to live overseas in new countries in colonies. A series of wars in the 17th and 18th centuries, and the union of England and Scotland into one country in 1707 made Great Britain one of the most powerful countries on earth. East India Company. In 1600, the British East India Company was set up in London to build trade in India. The company had its own army and soon controlled much of India and South Asia. It also controlled lands in Africa and parts of the Middle East. The British government took control of the company's lands in 1857, greatly expanding the British Empire. War and expansion. The British colonized the northeast of the Americas and set up several colonies there in the 17th century. After the War of Independence from 1775 to 1783, Britain lost control of these lands and turned to other places to develop its influence. After the wars with Napoleon in 1815, Britain had the most powerful navy in the world. Its ships quickly expanded Britain's control around the world. As Britain was the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution, it became the workshop of the world. It expanded trade to all corners of the world, making the empire extremely rich and powerful. The empire where the sun never sets. In the early part of the 20th century, the British Empire had a total population of about 412 million people. The empire's size meant that the sun was always shining on one of its lands or colonies. Losing power. Britain lost some of its power when the 13 colonies in North America became independent in 1776, and when Canada gained independence in 1867. By the end of the 19th century, both Germany and the United States of America were starting to challenge Britain's economic power. After the two world wars, the British Empire started to lose more influence. India and Pakistan gained independence in 1947, then Sri Lanka and Myanmar in 1948. Soon after, many countries in Africa followed, such as Malawi, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, and Zambia. By the 1980s, Britain's empire was over. The Commonwealth of Nations. After many of the colonies gained independence, 52 of them, such as India, Australia, Canada, Pakistan, Nigeria, South Africa, and New Zealand joined together to create an organization called the Commonwealth of Nations. Today, it has a combined population of 2.3 billion people. English and sports. Britain's influence in world politics is much smaller than it was a century ago. One major remaining influence of the British Empire is that English has become the world's international language. Another influence was that several British sports were played in the colonies. They remained popular in those areas and now have become world sports. The Empire today. Although the empire has gone, we can still see much of its former power when we visit its ex-colonies. All over the world, there are still many buildings to remind us of the great power the empire used to have. The British Empire greatly improved the lives of many people, but the empire also destroyed communities and cultures and led to the deaths of millions of people. The British Empire has had a great influence on world history. The empire developed trade routes, brought about the Industrial Revolution, and created many democratic governments all over the world. We can still feel its influence today.